Good morning, everyone,
Good morning.
and welcome to the National Great Blacks in Wax Extended Tour Shuttle Bus Tours. We have three young people who are our docent trainees. They will be the tour guides for your tours today. We have three stops that we're going to make: the Civil War Museum, the Lily Mae Carroll Museum, and the Hampton Mansion. We're going to make up some time with the Civil War Museum, so that's going to be a little quick. And I would expect by the time we get to Lily Mae Carroll that we'll be back on schedule. So welcome, everyone. It is an educational experience today. You'll get to learn about Black history in Baltimore City. Sit back and enjoy yourselves. Oh, and I'm sorry, our docents are...
My name is Donald Meredith.
Okay.
My name is Makai Stewart.
My name is Tanaya Nash.
Hey.
And my name is Tanaya Nash.
That's wonderful. All right, wonderful. And my name is Miss Mary. We have our photographers here today. They will be videoing the tours that will take place. We have Miss Loretto, who is a producer. We have Mr. John, producer and videographer. And we have Mr. Lorenzo, producer and videographer. And Miss Loretto is the lead for what's happening today. We also have Mr. Rowland, who is a tour guide. He helps in the training of the docents. We have Miss Janice, also a tour guide and a trainer for the docents. And we have Miss Jolly, who keeps us paid and whatever else needs to go on in the museum. She's the person to talk to and go to. We have other guests on the bus. If you would just kind of introduce yourself and say how you...
I'm Deborah Pierce Hakunle, board member since the museum started. I was a part of the traveling exhibit. So my life has been at the National Great Blacks in Wax Museum.
Wonderful. Sir in the back.
I am Marcus.
And
My daughter Faith. She's 4 years old. She was in a play here like a month ago.
all right.
For the street fair.
Yeah, the street fair.
From
All right.
Woodworks.
You with Woundworks?
Yes.
Okay, they're with the Woundworks program. And we also have Miss Jolly's grandson. Tell us your name again.
My name is Jairon Jolly.
Speak up, baby.
My name is Jairon Jolly.
Okay, can you hear you?
My name is Jairon Jolly.
Jairon Jolly. Very nice name. Alrighty then, we're ready. Oh, and we also have a very important person here, Mr. Damon, who is our bus driver. And my guest, my sister-in-law, Veronica Daniel. She's with us today.
We're traveling on Broadway, which is one of the major cities here in Baltimore, and it leads to Johns Hopkins Hospital. Broadway has an island in the center, and you'll notice that it continues all the way down to Lombard Street. The island is used for people exercising and just kind of sitting around. We're also on one of the larger streets in the city, and back in historical days, this was a street that only white people lived on. African Americans were not allowed on any of the large streets here in Baltimore City. A lot of these houses have 4, 5, and as we go west, some of them have 7 bedrooms in them. That tells you what size families people had back in the day. A lot of the blacks lived in this neighborhood, but they lived in what we call alleys, in the backs of these big houses. Why? Because you work in these houses. You will also notice that the houses have marble steps, which is a big deal here in Baltimore, and a lot of people come to see the marble steps in the city. and that was one of our claims to fame. It's very easy to clean them. You know about Ajax soap? Ajax scouring powder, shake it on there, get yourself a scrub brush, and it shines like crystal. So as we go along, you'll see where some of the steps people are trying to take care of them and they're moving to improve. We're coming up on Johns Hopkins Hospital, one of the most famous hospitals in the world. It's either #1 hospital, #2 hospital, and then back to #1 as far as services are concerned. And everybody wants to get their degree from Hopkins Hospital. They have...
I say not everybody. My daughter didn't go there.
Oh, shame on her.
Didn't like Hopkins.
When we cross this corner, Hopkins owns, on your left-hand side, all of those properties. That's a part of the Hopkins community. And they're making it available to people who are studying at the school so they have some place to live. There's Kennedy Krieger Institute. As we come up, Kennedy Krieger was this one little building that we're passing, and now they have at least 3 other buildings that are part of the Kennedy Krieger Institute. Hopkins has a venture to take over or try to buy up this whole side all the way over to Patterson Park is what they're planning to do so that they can make it look better around.
And if you keep up with it, you'll notice that the 3 universities, Hopkins, University of Maryland, are east and west, taking over the neighborhoods downtown for urban renewal.
Gentrification.
That's the
Hopkins, I say Hopkins is trying to connect this medical campus to the university campus.
But that's
and
it.
Everything that's in between is going to be not there.
Hospital. And it's also been in I don't know how many movies. They pretend it's someplace else, but it's a part of Hopkins. So those who haven't paid any attention to it, that's the tower there, of the original. That's the original hospital there. And also take note to the fact that Hopkins has its own subway stop. So if you need to get to Hopkins from someplace else that the subway rides, Hopkins has its own stop. But that's the original building. Well, on your right-hand side, we're coming up to Wilmer Eye Clinic. They service people who have any kind of eye conditions. It was a small building to the east of Hopkins, and they've moved it over on this side where most of the campus is. So here's Wilmer Eye Clinic. Now when we come up to this stop light, this blinking light, if you look to your left, you'll see the tower that was the original building for Johns Hopkins Hospital. And it's also been in I don't know how many movies. They pretend it's someplace else, but it's part of Hopkins. So those who haven't paid any attention to it, that's the tower there, or the original. Yeah, that's the original hospital there. And also take note to the fact that Hopkins has its own subway stop. If you need to get to Hopkins from someplace else that the subway rides, Hopkins has its own stop. But that's the original building. On your left-hand side is the Quaker Meeting House, and it is also part of the Underground Railroad. That building right over there. Right on the corner there. Yeah, that's a Quaker Meeting. It's part of the Underground Railroad. And Carroll Mansion. You just passed the shot tower, which was used during the Civil War for getting ammunition for the Civil War soldiers. And on the end there is the first mansion for the Carroll family on Baltimore. That has the white. See, you supposed to learn something every day.
To your left hand, right hand side, my left hand side, is the Civil War Museum. This building began construction in May 1849, but it opened publicly February the 18th, 1850. The building, the brick was painted brown to resemble brownstone, which was a popular building product back in the day. The building was $8,812.73. George Parker designed the railroad station, and the construction engineer was Isaac Risley Temple. So the same people that own the Risley Mansion is the same people that own the Civil War Museum. It was originally the P.W.B. Railroad Station, Philadelphia, Wilmington, and Baltimore Railroad Station. That's the Civil War Museum.
I want to sign. She could have stayed.
We got to have the name for you to see that Richmond didn't lose their property. And the question is, why did they lose their property? If they were Confederate sympathizers.
Come in quickly for about 5 or 10 minutes and just look around and then come back and then allow us to go in there. For 5 or 10 minutes, no worries. I'm gonna let the bus driver know. So we're gonna go in for about 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay. So you can zip around if you want. You can go inside.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, go ahead. No.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. But I do have to get around.
I didn't even bring my card.
You're still outside.
The museum here concentrates on the Baltimore riots of 1861, when the first people were actually killed during the Civil War. War started, North wanted to send troops to Washington, D.C. Means you have to come through Baltimore, more specifically, you'd come through this building right here. This is the President Street Station. It's built in 1850. It's the oldest remaining urban station in the United States. And at the time of the war, it was the terminal for the Philadelphia railroad lines coming down the East Coast to wind up right here. At which point, you have to get on the horse cars and go across town and get the train to Washington, D.C. from the B&O station on the other side of town, because they won't allow locomotives downtown. They're too dangerous. And when the Southern sympathizers in town realized the troops would be coming through, they formed a mob to try to stop them from making the transfer between the stations. And this results in the presidential election of 1860 for the city of Baltimore. Maryland was a slave state. It was very evenly divided between the secessionists and the unionists, although Lincoln himself wasn't very popular here. But it was about a 50-50 split, and Maryland wound up furnishing troops to both sides of the war, what they call a border state. All of this happened 1 week after the first shots were fired at Fort Sumter, as the 6th Massachusetts Regiment got on the train in Boston and got off here at the station April 19th. That'll give the details what happened then. And we got more on the occupation and aftermath over here. On the back we got a bit on the Underground Railroad, which would use the station from time to time, and the colored troops, USCT colored troops that Baltimore furnished during the war. And over there we got this 15-minute video that will repeat after a while. Otherwise, if you have any questions, let me know.
Yeah, that's good.
That's the 6th Massachusetts regimental flag. All regiments have their own flag, you know, logo or something on it. Yeah.
What about the bottom?
Okay, our former head, who died recently, was a model railroad guy. And he liked putting up these railroad displays. When the circus closed down a couple of years ago, he put up this memorial to it. It has nothing to do with the Civil War, but when the head guy wants to do something, you go ahead and do it. So, here it is. Yeah, there's one of the USCT
P.T. Barnum.
regimental flags over there.
P.T. Barnum.
Oh, that, I don't know. We do that for the Halloween. Nobody bought it. Seems to be popular. Yeah.
Time to get on the bus. Time to get on the bus. Time to get on the bus and make up our time. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so